go into our website and click on community. It's on that panel or table, I forget what's called, a menu across the top.
The top navigation bar.
Thank you. Top navigation bar. You can tell I'm not a webmaster. And so click on community. If you're already logged in to the TCEA website, it'll automatically take you into the community. If not, then you'll get a login box. You log in there, but then you have a little gray sidebar navigation. How's that? And then you have to click on social community there. And then once you get there, you can go into the top navigation bar for the social community is groups. And you can click on that, and advocacy is the first one there. And it's wide open, so I don't have to approve when you get in. So, and I will try to show you how to find those resources if you haven't done a lot, because it's real easy to find the resources. You would just click on the resources tab, and then there's a search bar. So then you would easily put IMA, PEEMS, those kind of things, because a lot of those advocacy is the group. It should be at the very top. You went into my groups. Yeah, go into just groups if you haven't already signed in and added advocacy as a group. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started a little bit. I think most of you know me. I'm Jennifer Bergland. I work for TCEA. I wear two hats, but they actually are very much in line with each other. I'm the Director of Member Services, and I'm also the person who's in charge of government relations. And so I just tell everybody I'm your advocate inside the organization and outside the organization. And I've been working here now almost 2 years and a couple of months, and absolutely love my job. I'm actually looking forward to the legislative session coming up because I love being at the Capitol, and I love representing you all and letting you know what's going on down there. So anyway, this is really what I gave. I did a legislative update, I think last week in our webinars, and if you have never attended one of those, I would highly encourage you to do that. You can go in right now and sign up on our website and sign up for all the legislative updates, and then you'll get an email reminding you when they are. They're usually like maybe the last week of each month on Thursday at 2 o'clock. If you can't attend but you're registered, you will get a recording of it. And I try to give you as much up-to-date information as possible. And it's not really about politics. So if you say, I'm not really interested in all that politics stuff. No, it's about policy, and which is something that all of you care about. And it does give you, now once we get into the political season, I will get into some politics because there are things that you may want to know to take action. And again, it's up to you to whether or not you take action, but I want to provide you with all that information. The objectives is first for me to go over the legislative program that was approved by the TCEA Board of Directors in July. I want to quickly talk about Connected Texas in case you don't know about this organization. I want to give you a little update on the legislative hearings that have happened over the last couple of months. I want to give you an IMA update, primarily on the numbers, to let you know how much money's been spent, what it's been spent on, etc. I have numbers as of yesterday. I want to briefly tell you that I've got a chart now for the Texas, the technology application PEEMS numbers. I want to make sure you know about Texas Success, and Susanna Garza is in the room today, and she will also be highlighting this in much more detail in the TEA update after this, okay? And I'm really excited about this. And then I want to let you know about Teach the Vote, okay? All right, so let me briefly tell you about the legislative program. This is what associations do that before legislative session, because you want to know what your positions are going to be on and the things that you want to support going into a legislative session. And the legislative session starts in January. In case you didn't know this, Texas meets every other year, and they only meet from January through May. And then if they don't get everything done, they have special sessions. And the rumors are that there will be multiple special sessions, that probably they'll have a session in the summer and this is just gossip, but they'll have a session in the summer that will deal with things they didn't get done in the regular session, and then they'll do a school finance session in the fall of next year, because they won't really have all the information they need about that all those court cases until late in the spring, and or they won't have it enough to really make decisions about it. Whether or not that's true or not, but that's the gossip on the ground. So we want to be prepared for anything that happens. We want to be prepared to go on the offensive and to go on the defensive. So there are things that when you go into the legislative session, there are certain things you would like to see happen positively for your association or for your members. But then you got to be prepared for something that's negative that comes up, a bill that comes up, and you've got to be prepared to respond to it. So that's why you have a legislative program. So the association knows what the members want us to be advocating for. Okay. In order to write the program, I didn't just sit in my office and come up with the ideas on my own. We did a membership survey, and I think probably some of you probably participated in that in I think March or April of last year, and a part of the survey were some advocacy questions, and we had over 1,900 people that responded to it. Then I always look at the speak up data because it gives me really good information. For instance, one of the things that I really track is the question, if your student was allowed to take a device to school, would you buy your child a device? And it's like 64% in the state of Texas. So, and we get Texas data. So I use that Texas data to be able to tell legislators, information about what parents would support, etc., as well as what teachers would support. We reviewed relevant research, and I'm going to share some of that with you. Then I draft it using all of this, and then we take it to the board of directors, and in July they approved it. Okay, it will guide our advocacy efforts. Okay, so I want to make sure you all know what those things are. First of all, we would like, and this was in our platform last year, we got one bill that was at least got a hearing in the House Education Committee, but it didn't go any further. But we would like to see, school districts are required every year to do some professional development in a variety of things. Technology used to be one of those things. It is no longer. And so we would like to require 6 hours of professional development for all instructional staff, and that would be annually. We know that we were hurt in the budget. John, come on in. We know that we were hurt in the budget, and a lot of tech specialists lost their job, and so we're really worried about the professional development maybe taking a hit in districts, and so we want to make sure that it's required by the state. So that is one of our platforms.
Technology staff development, or just
instructional technology? Yes, I'm sorry. Instructional. Very good question. Instructional technology. Staff development. Okay, we also want to increase the opportunities for online learning. We did, some states actually are advocating that every single student take a course in high school online, at least one course. This is not that narrow, but we would just like to see that increase. Some staggering statistics is that in the Texas Virtual School Network, there were like 22,000 courses, or students took a course. The year prior to them cutting off the allotment, and then it dropped to 5,000, 5,500, something like that. And that exact number is in our report. So, I understand what the legislature was trying to do with that. They felt like there was a double dipping, that they were paying the school district for the ADA for that student, and then they were also paying the provider district. But you and I both know that it doesn't work like that, that you don't have enough students taking one particular course in order for you to maybe let go a teacher. So it doesn't work. It's not as easy as it sounds to the legislature. So we will, actually there is a hearing on Monday about online learning, and Dr. Joy Russo will be representing TCEA and her school district and you all on virtual schooling and the barriers that are out there, okay? So we'll be watching that issue. Second of all, we want to increase the number of students taking a course in computational thinking. We know that well, there's just some staggering statistics, and I took this directly out of our platform because I wanted you to see it. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics estimates that by 2018, computing occupations in the United States will grow by 21%, or about 800,000 new jobs, which is more than double the growth rate of all occupations in the United States. And we also have statistics that Texas right now is only able to fill with Texas graduates about 32% of their computer science related jobs. Now, juxtapose that against how many kids are taking a computer science course. We have about 2% of 9th through 12th graders who are taking a computer science course any 1 year, which is, you can tell that by just looking at those numbers, comparing what the need is with what kind of, how many kids are actually taking some type of computer science course. We do not have kids graduating from Texas high schools prepared to enter college and actually major in computer science courses. In fact, University of Texas has told me that they are having to do a lot of remediation, and because kids are not prepared for their intro-level computer science courses. Now, one of the things that happened in the last rewrite of the technology application courses is that there are a lot of courses now at the high school level that are computer science related that are not computer science 1 and 2. So, you know, there's a lot of courses that are not as rigorous as computer science 1 and 2, but would allow kids to have that, the ability to work through computational thinking activities, etc. So that's, you know, exactly what we're going to try to do with this, I'm not exactly sure, but I've already been contacted by Raise Your Hand Texas. Is that Raise, I think is what it is, and they're interested in this issue. I've talked to a representative's aide, and they're very interested in this issue. So we may get a little bit of traction on this particular issue.
So they're saying that courses like gaming would be one
Yeah.
of those?
Yes. And it's all about the jobs. This is, I think, another interesting thing that's in that most of the jobs in the STEM-related fields are 72% of them are computing related. They're going to be available, I believe, in 2018. So what my mantra is, we've got STEM, but T is being left out. You hear a lot about engineering, you hear a lot about math, you hear a lot about science, and you got to have those things to be able to do the engineering and to even do the computer science, but you hear very little about technology.
And the other 29% need technology as well.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something that we've added to our platform that we did not have last year.
Can I ask a question about that? Do we have clear, you know, you said it's the colleges are saying that the students are saying they're having to do a lot of catch-up work with the students. Do we have clear benchmarks of what these students should be when they leave?
That's a good question. I could talk to University of Texas, but I directly talked to the computer science department, and anytime University of Texas has a career fair, it's almost all computer science related people wanting jobs. I mean, they're just, number one, they can't graduate enough. Number two, they're having to remediate. That is what they've told me. But that's a good question. Okay. Okay, broadband. You can't do all of the things that we want to do if we do not have adequate and equitable bandwidth for Texas homes, schools and homes. And that is important to note. And that's one of the things that Joy Russo is going to try to say to the Senate Education Committee on Monday. If you want to have online learning, you've got to have adequate bandwidth, not just at school, but also at homes. And so that is one of our big initiatives. It's something that I'm hearing, again, some buzz about. I don't have all my statistics there. But basically, I think what we put in our platform, and we adopted CETA's, CETA, which is the State Education Technology Directors Association, is that right? Karen Kahn is on the board of CETA, and they wrote a initiative on broadband. I think it's called Broadband Initiative, and it basically gives some guidelines, and they say that by the year 2014, 2015, that for every 1,000 students, it's a ratio, students / staff, you should have 100 megs coming into the district and a gig inside the district. So we've adopted that as our recommended platform. Then when you juxtapose that against the statistics, when you look at the connected Texas maps, what I saw in July is that it was around 25. This can't be 25K. It's got to be 25 megs. Okay. Yeah, it's 25 megs. That's the average across the state for schools. When I looked at it this last week, it was more in the 12 or 13. So I'm not sure exactly if they're constantly monitoring that or not. Regardless, I'm going to show you where you can get that data. Regardless, it's way below what it needs to be. Okay, if it's 25 or if it's 12 or 13, it's way below what it needs to be. So that is something that we would need to work on, because if that's the average, you can imagine some have a lot more than that and some have a lot less. Okay? Of course, funding is an issue, and we have a whole piece in our legislative platform. And the legislative platform, by the way, you can download it. It is in the advocacy community group. I have the whole platform there. But funding is certainly important, and the message will be hopefully communicated to our legislators that we are trying to do what the state has asked us to do, which is a long-range plan for technology. And when I show you the IMA funding, although we certainly are a lot better place than we were in January of last year, we have a long way to go to match the amount of money that districts are spent using the tech allotment. Okay, and we knew that wasn't enough either. Okay. Okay. Connected Texas, I just mentioned that. Connected Texas is part of Connected Nation, and it was paid for, I believe, by stimulus funds. A man who's in charge of it, his name is Don Shirley. He's a great guy, and his whole passion is to get broadband in all parts of the state. And so at Connected Texas, I believe, maybe I had the, I've got information in the advocacy group about this, but they have maps of broadband access. When you go to, just Google Connected Texas and you'll find it. But, and then it's right under Learn, and they are national maps, and they come down and you can actually look at your community. Now Joy said you got to be careful with that, because the one, she's from ARP ISD, and what it has for hers is that company is now bankrupt and went out of business. So, you know, it may not be totally up to date, but what's cool about the site is it has a place for you as a school or you as an individual to email them and say, I can't get broadband. And then they feel like their mission is to contact you and try to help you with that, okay? But it helps you see where the access is all across the state. They also, part of their mission is, and it's largely because it's coming down from the FCC chairman, is to increase technology literacy. One of the things that he says is that it's not just that there isn't bandwidth everywhere. He said there's, in places where there's bandwidth, there's still not widespread adoption because a lot of adults don't know how they can use it. And so that is why they have this. They'll help you do this provider, find a provider. Now, I hope you will all take this and go and look at their, it's not a special, it's not a sale, it's just what they're trying to do. They have a form, and the form is actually in, I think, the resources for the community. I have it, I think, in advocacy, but it's also in the regular resources for the entire community, because there's a form that you can download, and you can give this to your students, and they will give you sell you computers for $119. And it's not just low-income kids, okay? and broadband for $10 a month. Okay, so really check into that, all right? Okay. Legislative hearings, I just kind of want to let you know what's kind of going on, and actually I should add another one because there's one coming up on the IMA at the end of this month. The telecommunication discounts, the Senate Business and Commerce Committee held a hearing on this. I believe it was in August, and it was on telecommunication, broadband, all of the things we're interested in. But there was one line in there that said they were going to discuss the telecommunication discounts. And if you all were, groupies of advocacy last year, you knew that we fought to extend the House Bill 2128 discounts that were supposed to expire this last January. We got them extended until January of 2016. So we shouldn't have to fight this year. So when we saw it on the hearing, we were a little concerned that we might have to. We prepared a written testimony, and it's inside the advocacy resources that you can look at. And it pretty much gives the case of why we need those discounts, but why we need more bandwidth, and not just at school, but also at home. I will tell you, I didn't sense a lot of hostility there towards the telecommunication discounts like we did earlier. So I'm not so sure why it was on there, if just because it's part of their larger discussion. So we'll be watching this particular issue. I already mentioned virtual schools hearing is going to be Monday. I will be there. I'll be tweeting it. If you're not following me on Twitter, I tweet all of the advocacy stuff at TCEA Advocacy. And I do not give you a ton of stuff. It's just when I'm at something. And when I'm there, I'll also tweet out the URL so that you can watch it if you want to. Okay? School finance, there has been, I think, 3 committee hearings on school finance. The first one was in May, and it was largely TEA, educating this is a joint committee of senators and House of Representative members. And so the one in May was mainly explaining, the history of school finance. The one in July was largely about innovation and what is going on in school finance globally and nationally, and particularly looking at innovation and at the economy. Then they had one about a week and a half ago that I was not able to go to, but they had Governor Bob Weiss. He's a former governor of West Virginia. You've probably heard about Digital Now with Jeb Bush, and he's the Republican, and Governor Bob Weiss is the Democrat, and they both have created organizations that work together on promoting digital instruction and digital education. And Bob Weiss was there, and he gave a really good testimony, and I have that in the advocacy thing for you to look at.
Do you know who is chairing both for the Senate and the House?
Jimmy, he is a doctor. Representative Aycock is for the House, and I'm not sure, is it Shapiro? Do you know?
No, it's
Seliger. No.
He came to your first advocacy meeting.
Was it
a year and a half in spring, 2 years ago. What's his name?
Oh, Patrick.
Patrick.
Okay, he's the new chairman of the Senate Education Committee. Thank you. I should have known that. Okay.
Good luck with that.
Huh?
Good luck with that.
Okay. The 4th bullet should be on there, and that is on October 30th, the Senate Education Committee is looking at the IMA. And that is part of what they do. They have a catch-all phrase that they're, and by the way, maybe I should tell you, why are they meeting? You just told me, Jennifer, that they don't start meeting until January, but you're talking about these hearings. They do have what they call interim charges. And the Speaker of the House and the Lieutenant Governor gives both of their houses things they want them to study in the interim. And they always get the catch-all one, look at legislation that was passed. And so We have an appointment, a couple of us that are interested in the IMA with the Senate Education Committee aide who's setting up that. We have a meeting with her on Monday to find out kind of what's going on there, to see if they need our assistance and to provide any testimony. Speaking of the IMA, this I got, TEA is putting the financial information on the website, I believe daily. Is that right, John? So this morning, I went and got yesterday's data. They put and you can go to the TEA website. It's under instructional materials and just look for the instructional materials expenditure report. And they give the data. Then I put it in a spreadsheet to get some percentages and some information that I think is something that I want to watch. And this is the URL. That URL is also a resource in the advocacy group in the community. And it's called the IMA Expenditure Report, I think. And it's just a link to a Google Doc that I have been adding information to. So far, this is the amount that's been spent over the last 2 years. This is a biennium amount, and so about 66% has been spent thus far. Okay, not since the beginning of this school year, but the beginning of last school year. This is the amount. About 91% has been spent on instructional materials, and about 9% has been spent on technology. When I started really tracking this in January, it was 97% spent on instructional materials and 3% has been spent on technology. And it's almost to 90% to 10%. So we're continuing to see that school districts are spending more money than they did last year on technology and substantially less money than they spent on instructional materials this year. And that's largely because they bought most of their new materials that they needed. What they're buying now are the additional materials that they need for growth or replacement, or new materials that they want to buy because they have a new need. Yes.
Do you know what the percentage was before on textbooks versus 411? Was there a...
I don't know that we ever looked at that, but I can tell you this, that since the tech allotment, the legislature basically allotted around $135 million a year, or $270 million in a biennium. So we're way below that. Now what I don't know is, have school districts shifted their burden other places? Because there's no budget code. I tried to figure that out. There's no budget code that's across the state for us to track expenditures, except the 411, which was our tech allotment, and now this is 410. Okay, so we can't really track that. I've asked vendors if they're feeling the pinch, and they're not real upfront about it because they really don't want their competitors to know. Okay, yeah.
I was in a meeting with Joy Russo a couple of years back, and when IMA was being considered, and she said that we need to get the tech side need to get 30% to stay with the same percentages. So that might answer your question,
Yeah.
Council.
Yeah. Okay, for technology, because I know you all are interested in, well, how are people spending the money on technology? So this is basically over the 2 years, biennium, okay? They spent almost $5 million on contracted services, $1,248,000 on professional development, $2,287,000 on salary, and around $37 million on equipment. Okay, I have a lot of really good resources that are in the advocacy group. Some of you all had seen some of the discussion by Miguel, who had gone to the TASB training that was in August, and that is a training, TASB, TCEA, TASBO, which is the business officials, and then the IMCAT, which is the Instructional Materials Coordinators, the old Textbook Coordinators Association, and TEA, John and Kelly. We worked starting back in the spring on some training materials so that all of these associations would be saying the same thing. And we gave a day training in August. And then we also, John and I and Kelly and Jackie from TASB gave a training at the TASB conference last weekend. So we're trying to talk in the same, because I know y'all sometimes are frustrated because you get the information but you don't think somebody else in your district is getting it. So we're really trying to work together to do that. And there was an FAQ that was produced out of that training, and I believe that John and his staff actually looked at the answers, and so I would go look at that. That's the latest, most FAQ that's been put together on the IMA, and it's in the advocacy group. Okay, so if you want to know more about that, and this is just some resources. Okay, and here's the TASB training FAQs. That's what's in our, and the commissioner's rules were approved, and that's what governs. That's how John and his staff will make decisions about it. It's from the commissioner's rules, and then TEA has FAQs, and then TCEA also. Okay, has information. Okay. I was looking for a logo for Peeves, and I found this one. So this is really kind of a joke, okay? Because I know most people don't love Peeves, but I found that. We created a table just for the technology application Peeves, because the one that TEA has, it's in with all the other courses. So we created that, and that's in our advocacy group. I just wanted you to know that, because and that came from a member. Somebody emailed me and said, what are the PEMS numbers for the new technology application courses? I didn't know. I emailed Karen. She pointed me in the right direction, and then we took what they gave us and we created something just for you all. So that's in our book. Okay. All right. This is one of the neatest things that have just come out, the newest things that have just come out from TEA, and I actually got to be a part of some of the selection process, largely so I could represent you all as technology people, because I don't know content, but I knew what questions and what things were going to concern you. So I got to represent some of those issues, okay? But basically, they have some funding to provide math and reading online resources for all Texas public students in grades 3 through 8. And the original goal was to get it out in the summer, but with all of the stuff going on, that didn't happen. But it did come out on August 28th, and Susanna Garza and her staff at Region 20 are kind of managing it for them, and they've done an excellent, excellent job. And basically, your students, for free, get access to iStation, which is a reading program, and Think Through Math. And one of the things that TEA was adamant about is that they not put something out there that they would not want you to use, for instance, something like Drill and Kill. And I can attest that the technology, I think will blow you away to some degree, okay? Particularly Think Through Math. That's my own personal bias, only because this one, Think Through Math, if a student is going through the program and they get stuck, an online teacher, and that is still part of it, right? Okay. The online teacher will actually come and talk to the student and help them. And they will even know if that child is Spanish speaking, and if they are a Spanish speaking teacher. So you have online tutors that will actually intervene when they feel like the child is having some problems. They're going to talk about this in the TEA update. I highly encourage you to do it. And if you don't get a chance to do that, I think I have some, first of all, email help@texassuccess.org. I've gone through their process a couple of times, get really good feedback. Basically, the way it works, the school signs up and the student can have access from school or home. There will be a parent portal that will open up so that if a student, number one, for the parent to get access to the information, okay? But also, if a school doesn't sign up, then the parent can have access for that instruction for the child at home. Yes.
We had just purchased this for like grades 1 and 2, and then we found out it was free for 3 through 8, and we were kind of shocked and a little upset. Do you see it becoming free for 1 and 2 as well?
No, they told me no. I called because we had it for all of our grades, you know, up through
For
8.
iStation?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I've applied for that, but I didn't hear anything. Now, what that company did do for me is they have applied what I spent on my upper grades all to my pre-K through 2nd, so they were very generous in that. But I've yet to hear, and it was in August when I applied, the end of August.
You want to answer that because you gave me.
So, I mean, I'm going to email this help out
Okay.
and ask them about
Please
it.
let us know, if you haven't heard, what we're asking schools is to please check their junk mail folder.
I
and
have
make
been,
sure-
I have.
And make sure that both iStation and Think Through Math are not locked in your network filters.
Okay.
But if you still haven't heard, we can check and see what's the status. And then there's another way, and I'll be glad to talk to you about it and see how you can retrieve the information. Chances are it's probably already set up if you have contacted back then.
But wouldn't I see it listed
'Cause
with
we-
my schools?
We can see a list, they send us some reports every day, and we can see what schools have already been.
But I mean, whenever I log on, because I've been with them, wouldn't I see my additional,
I think the hope.
the math, that we don't have the math?
That's why
This is
Google
math.
it, but I
I
would
don't
still
know, but we
sign
can
up.
talk about it.
Okay,
Kids can have
alright,
access to it.
thanks.
That's what I would do. Here is the adoption as of last week, and this number changes daily and hourly. So almost half the districts in the state have signed up for Think Through Math, 234 for iStations, but it's interesting you have more campuses, so that probably tells me that those are larger districts. The question, of course, has come up, and she just asked it, is this a one-year funding thing? Yes, it is. My hope is that if it's successful, I mean, this is the way you're going to be able to bring quality instruction at a price the state can afford if we do it like this. So no guarantee, but she mentioned that it's, you know, a school district may not be wanting to invest in all of the training if it's only going to be there for a year. I would certainly still sign up for it so that parents can have access to it if the school is not going to. Did you want to? Y'all will talk about that.
And they're still uploading students and all of that you're doing if you sign up?
The question is, are they still up?
Do we upload the students if we sign up for it?
There's a couple of different ways where you can upload the students, or they can do it for you. It can be a batch upload.
Okay, finally, I told you I wouldn't talk a whole lot about politics, but I want to let you know of this resource. ATPE created this resource in the spring. It's called Teach the Vote. And ATPE is just like TCEA. We will not and cannot, by IRS law, tell you who to vote for. Now, ATPE may have a PAC that can do that, but they're not. This website is not through that PAC. So this is for your information. So you can go there and put in information, and it's going to give you information about your state representatives and your state senator candidates and your SBOE, your State Board of Education. And you know, we hear a lot about national politics, but I'm going to tell you, most of the stuff that really affects you, particularly what affects your job, is your state government. So you pass this around, let people know about the teachthevote.org, because they have information about each of the candidates. They sent them questionnaires. They have the answers on there, and then they also have some maybe historical data. If they've been in the House or they've been in the Senate, they may have some, you know, votes that they've taken. And so it gives you the ability to do a little bit of research, because I know that's one of the things that people don't want to go vote because they don't know and they're afraid they're going to vote wrong. This is a real quick way for you to go and find out. And again, I will never tell you who to vote for, but vote. Okay? That's probably why y'all are all here. Y'all kind of preaching to the choir. But voting is the best way you can impact. In fact, now is the best way you can influence who's running, because they want your vote now. So if they're having a town hall meeting in your community, I highly encourage you to go, and I highly encourage you to pose a question. Or email them and say, how do you feel about technology in education? What about the funding? We're not getting as much funding as we did before. What can we do about that? And if it's not education technology, that's okay. If there's something, whatever is burning on your heart about the way the state government is run, now is the time to get their attention, because they want your vote. After they win, it kind of flips, okay? Then you're kind of kowtowing to them, or they sometimes feel like you are. You're not, because they still work for you. But they're not near as interested in making sure that you're as happy then as they are right now, okay? Any questions? I think maybe I went so fast, I'm even early.
Vote early, vote often.
I know. Exactly. I tell you what I can do real quick. What?
I have a question.
Okay, ask the question.
I'm looking at the form for Connected Nation and
Mhm.
bandwidth and computers. Eligibility. Anybody? Only students and parents?
Oh, it's students.
Okay, so if I have a staff member who has a student, they can still do it.
As far as I can tell, I don't see anything on there that says they have to meet a threshold of free and reduced lunch or anything like that.
Okay, because it doesn't really tell you.
Did you find the application?
I want a student ID and a.
It does have a student ID?
Well, it tells you where to set the account up, and it wants a student ID and a parent ID.
Okay.
So, you may be saying on this, yes, I have a student, or I am a student.
Yeah. Okay. To be honest, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I know I would certainly investigate it, because that's a really good deal. And it's a great deal for those, particularly you trying to bring your own technology. I mean, it's just $119. I don't know what it is. It's obviously not an iPad. But, is it something that your kids can use that don't have that kind of access? Sure. So I would certainly look into it. Okay, here's the advocacy group, just to kind of let you know. Let's see. We should have more than 77, because that's what I had coming. Oh, crud. Don't do this to me. I shouldn't have done that. Okay. Well.
How do we get to you, John?
How do you get to what? Well, let's look at the ATPE thing. I'm reluctant to actually click on anything, because I may lose it as well. But this shows you, this is the website. It's just teachthevote.org. It has all of the races right there. If you want to look to see who is running in your area, you click in search for candidates, and you just put your address, and it knows who the people are that are running in your area, and then it will give information about those particular people. Let's see if I can get there. Oh shoot. Okay, let's see what I'm on. Oh, I'm on Netgear. Let's go to, maybe that's it. While I'm doing that, we'll go, this is a report that TEA put out yesterday. Remember, I told you could go download this, okay? And then here is my report, all right? So one of the things, this is the most up-to-date information. This right here is before this. When you look at percentages down here, I was counting against the amount of money they put out as of last year, okay, which was only 70% of the IMA. So you'll see some of these may be changing, and I just wanted you to know one of the reasons why is because they were going against that. In May of last year, they gave you all of the amount. So then I changed it here. So then when I was doing my formulas, etc., I was going to get 750,000 as opposed to that. So anyway, I took their information and made my own little thing. Okay, let's see if I have internet now. While we're doing that, let's try this. Any other questions while I'm trying to get the internet to work? Okay.
So really, we need a couple of days just to sit and read everything you put out there.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay, I mean, it's great.
Yeah. And just, I think if you will stay in tune into that community, I think I wrote this in one of the TECSIG postings. I will continue to alert you in the TECSIG community group, but I'm going to post all the documents in the advocacy group. Can't even say it. So, so I don't have to post them two different places. So I will say, hey, I put the PEMS report up or the PEMS numbers in the advocacy group, so you can go look there. And I would love to be able to show you, if I can get in here, how to search it. I hope you've learned how easy it is to search for stuff in the community, and kind of let me explain how I used it this summer to write the legislative report. I was working on the part about the broadband, and I was wanting information about how many, when you add how many computers on a network, when do we need to bump the bandwidth? What's a per pupil amount of bandwidth? What I was looking for. So I'd already written out this nice email, and I already had several people that I was going to send it to, and all of a sudden I thought, wait a minute, maybe there's been a discussion in the community. So I went to TECSIG, I put broadband in there, and bam, I found this great long discussion that you all had already had, and Lori had put in there the CETA report, which led me right to where I was going. So that's a plug for how the community can work, because I would have put that question right back out there, and some of y'all would have gone, we just answered that like a week ago. So, but this is how you can find resources or discussions. Use this search field right here. So if I go to resources, which is actually on the home right now, so just a minute, it's sending the request. Then I can just put in a number, a word, and then we will get whatever the resource is. Okay, so for instance, let's just do IMA and search the group. And here are all the resources. And it will show me what resources are in there that have been named IMA or been tagged with IMA. So you can find all the resources right there. Okay, so and the same thing with discussions. That's how I found the discussions in the TECSIG group on broadband. So if you use that in TECSIG if you're not. Okay? And remember that resources, there are two places in the community where people place resources. They place them in their groups, or they place them in the general resources. And I wish there was a way that if you put it in one, you could put it in several, okay? Kind of like in collections with, or labels with Google. Yeah. Yeah, so I just have finally decided I'm putting them in advocacy, stuff that have to do with advocacy, and I'll just point people there, and they can just join that group. Remember notifications as well. If you don't want to get, if you don't want to join a group because you don't want all those stupid emails that come in, just once you're in the group, notifications are right there, and all you have to do is go and change that. Okay, any other questions or thoughts or concerns? I know you've got concerns, but do you feel like we have our platform is large enough to deal with the main issues that you all are having? Okay. All right. Join that group, get involved, go vote, and if you have a question, if you ever need something like that PEMS table, let me know. Because then because if you're needing it, somebody else is needing
Whatever
it too.
happened to the TIF fund?
TIF
I mean,
fund went away.
it's still,
No, it's gone.
still on the bill, isn't it?
2128, it was where the TIF fund was created, I believe, but they did away with the TIF funding. They kept the TIF funding for, I think, one session, but they took it away from the tech allotment, and then the next session, I believe, and I'm just going off my memory, they're not even
I was thinking
collecting
it was
it
still
anymore.
on our phone bill, is it not?
Was there for a while after that.
Yeah. Good question. Those of us who've been around understand that. Those of us who new go, what's that?
Okay.
I love the TIF. I love the TIF grants. All right, thank you very
Your
much.
PowerPoint is going to be over in the TECSIG.
I'll
Okay.
My